Hello everybody, Andy here again. Right, the title of this video, Double Standards. Now, what am I talking about there? This is obviously going to, well, no, obviously, this will be a slightly political video. And when I came onto YouTube, when I first started, obviously I didn't really know what I was going to do. But the more I got involved with making videos, I've started to do more and more of these. And it wasn't something that I ever really intended to do at all, sort of political videos. But these are my points of view, so I think, well, why not? Let's get them out there. I've been watching a couple of videos by other people, the same sort of thing. They're finding the same thing. They've got like-minded people out there. You know, you've got a sort of a circle of friends, the vloggerhood as I call it, out there of people, and you've probably seen them. You know, you all subscribe to the same people, and you find like-minded people out there. Other people you don't agree with, that's fine, that's what this is all about. But we can put little ideas out there, and this is just an idea. I don't want to be too specific about this particular topic, I suppose, but what I'm on about here is double standards in governments generally. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples. I'm not talking about this video any particular governments, so don't think that I'm naming and trying to shame your government or my government or any other in particular. I'm just making a general point about this. But I'll give you an example from the US Declaration of Independence. It does say in there words to the effect of we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal under the sight of God, or words to that effect. But the way I think governments actually treat the world and the countries that they govern, if you want, or even the countries that are out there in their sphere of influence, is a bit more like the George Orwell quote from Animal Farm. All men are created equal, but some are more equal than others. And that's the way that I think that these things go on. I've got a list of countries here, and as I said, you can make up your own minds about how you feel, and I'm not preaching at all, and I'm not naming or shaming any governments, but I can name some countries that maybe we've dealt with in different ways. You know, Iraq, Iran, Israel, Zimbabwe, Sudan, Saudi Arabia, and I've got Saddam Hussein written down here as well. Now, most of those countries, and there are plenty of others as well, that's just not all of them, there's a big long list of them. You might be able to think of ways that we've treated some of those countries differently to be treated at some of the others as well. For example, I'll mention Iraq. We went into Iraq, invaded Iraq, and did what we did. But there are other countries that are equally as bad, and I'll name Zimbabwe at the moment, and Sudan as well. We've got two countries there who are going through great upheavals at the moment. They're there, people know about them. The situation in Zimbabwe has been going on for quite a number of years. The situation in Sudan, in Darfur, has been going on for a number of years as well. Thousands of people have been either killed or are dying through malnutrition in these countries because of the way that the countries are being run. Now, we've not done anything about them as far as I'm aware, but we're only too happy to go in and deal with someone like Saddam Hussein. I'm not saying we were wrong to do that, although I'll say quite categorically now I did not agree with the war in Iraq at the time, and I think I've been proved right. Yeah, I can smirk a little bit, I suppose. We went in there for the wrong reasons, but that's a different matter. Anyway, as I said, I don't want to go into it too much. But I think this is what happens across the world. You can probably think of your own examples that we treated some people differently to others. One other example, in this country, just this week actually, we've had a vote in the Houses of Parliament to renew our Trident nuclear missile defence system, which is getting old. It's still working. It's based by submarines. Now, we've decided that we're going to spend possibly £20 billion actually renewing this. I think I touched on this before. Now, once again, it's something that I don't agree with. I think the money can be spent elsewhere. Years ago, we had the Russians and the sort of Cold War that was going on. We had a known enemy. That enemy is a bit different now. But my point is, without going into too much detail there, that we're going to spend £20 billion, which is $35–40 billion if you want it US dollars anyway. We're going to spend that money, but we're not allowing other countries to build theirs. For example, Iran. We won't let them build nuclear weapons. We don't want North Korea to build nuclear weapons. Now, this is exactly the sort of thing I'm talking about, double standards. You can't do something yourself and then not expect other people to do it, because their argument will be, well, if you're going to renew yours, why can't we have them in the first place? And where's the argument against that? Just because we think that that country is slightly more unstable than the country that you live in or I live in, what difference does that make? As I said, all men are created equal, but some are more equal than others, aren't they? So anyway, why does this happen? Why do we allow this to happen? For example, we live in countries that are more powerful. The more powerful you are, the more influence you have in the world. But we've got other countries that are coming up in influence, whether it be China, other places in the Far East, that are disproportionately more influential. But we don't like that. I find that we're sort of stifling them as well if we can. We're trying to stop them doing what they should be allowed to do. Why should we stop anyone revolutionising their country, I suppose, progressing their country? If they want to build the weapons and we've got the weapons, we've got to set an example. If we get rid of our weapons, then they won't want to build theirs either, or make theirs. But anyway, I'll just be interested to know why you think this is. One of the sort of theories that I've got is that they think that a subject I covered recently in a video called Please Treat Me Like an Adult, is that governments generally tend to think that most of their subjects are not up to speed with things. I mean, I've seen this in the you could probably name sort of friends of yours, people that you know, who aren't up to speed on world events. I mentioned Sudan and Darfur, I mentioned Zimbabwe, and there's a lot of people on YouTube who know what's going on in those countries, but there's a hell of a lot of other people out there who don't know what's going on in these countries. The governments only tell us, the media only report certain things. Obviously Iraq was a very big thing. We got spun a load and load of news, should we say, whether it be good news, bad news, whether it was lies, whether we were misled. I don't want to go into that now, but we were spun a load of that at the time. But the Darfur thing is always kept in the background. Zimbabwe has crept up recently, but a lot of the time people aren't aware of it. And a lot of people don't want to know. They only want to hear good news. A lot of people don't read good newspapers. They don't watch decent TV programs, whether it be news. Another one of my favourite subjects is, I think news is being dumbed down now. Newspapers only report, as I said, the celebrity stuff, or the rise of celebrity and all this. And this is all something that governments work with. They play with this because they know that the majority of people, the vast majority of people, unfortunately I think, don't actually know what's going on. They're not aware of what's going on in these other countries, and so therefore we actually allow them to get away with this because we don't know. It's only sort of certain people. That's my opinion. Now I'll be very interested to know if you feel the same. Do you feel that there's a lot of double standards? Are you aware that these double standards exist? Do you care? I certainly do, but a lot of people, other people probably don't think this. So I'll be interested to know. This could be a controversial subject. I've said I don't like double standards. As I've said, all men are created equal, and they should be treated as such. So there you go. Anyway, that's my opinion. I'll be very interested to know what yours is, whether you agree or whether even if you disagree. I don't mind. Let's start a debate about this. Do you care? Do you know? You know, a lot of people. I remember seeing a video by Bohem, and he found out about the Darfur issue. I could argue he was a long way behind a lot of other people, but at least he's pushing it now. He's found out and he's doing something. The information is out there. But sometimes you have to find it, because they don't always report it, because they don't want you to know, because it means they might have to do something about it. You might question them and vote for somebody else next time. Anyway, enough of that. Thanks for your attention. I shall see you again soon. Goodbye.